I've been interested in the blue zones for the last 10 years. If you don't know what these places are, they are regions in the world where people live long and healthy lives, with few cases of cancer or other major issues. They also tend to be very happy as well. But one thing I realized is that the books I've read, like the Blue Zone Solution, tend to use old data. When I looked up the data for 2023, it was different. For example, people live the longest in Monaco, South Korea, Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, and San Marino. I'll talk about these places in this video. It makes sense that these so-called blue zones tend to change over the decades, but all the healthiest countries have similar healthy habits. Specific foods vary. One country may have dairy and another might not. One group eats more meat than the other, but both live past 80 easily. We could learn a lot from the healthiest people in each country. What's their diet like? How active are they? Are they often stressed? How is their natural environment? Like the quality of their food and water? I want to point out the basic similarities and differences between the people in the top 6 regions that live the longest. The reasons why they live long were different than I expected. Let's look at Monaco first. The average woman lives to 89 years old. For men, it's 84. This means Monaco has the highest life expectancy in the world. Monaco is a tiny independent country in the southeast of France, along the Mediterranean, so it's no surprise that they eat a Mediterranean diet. This means fresh fish, olive oil, fruit, nuts, and vegetables. Whole foods are a big part of their diet. Seafood is popular, due to Monaco being on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. The GDP per capita in Monaco is almost $200,000. The wealthy tend to be less stressed, eat better, and have access to high-quality health care. These also factor into their longevity. For number 2 on our list, South Korea is far different than Monaco. In South Korea, the average woman lives to 87 and men to 81. Average annual salary isn't as high as it is in Monaco, about $36,000. One study tried to find out why South Koreans live long. They assumed it's because most of them follow the traditional diet in their country, which means lots of vegetables and a low-fat diet. However, smoking is still popular in about half the population, especially among young women, and fat intake is growing in recent decades. Even then, the average life expectancy of 87 for women and 81 for males still made them number 2 in the world for longevity in 2023. They eat rice, kimchi, legumes, fish, fruit, soy, but typically no dairy. They tend to favor chicken and fish over red meat. Fermented foods like kimchi are eaten daily. Kimchi is a probiotic food which is great for gut health. Foods are also minimally processed. So they eat healthy, which is no surprise since they live so long. They also typically have 3 meals a day. The 3rd and 4th regions are Hong Kong and Macau. Hong Kong isn't a country but a special administrative region of China, and so is Macau. Macau is nearby, so I'm putting these two together. They're just a 1-hour drive away from one another. In both regions, women live to 87 and men to 81 on average. These 2 regions are tropical, very humid and beautiful, with nearby mountains. I have a friend that lives in Hong Kong, and she is active, always going to parks to take photos, paint, and draw. The average Hong Konger, according to a Stanford study, walks more than 6,800 steps a day. Out of 111 countries in the study, Hong Kongers walk the most. They live in apartments, so if they want to walk, they get out, and they get out a lot. The average American takes about 2,100 steps a day, for comparison, so Hong Kongers walk 3 times as much as Americans. Most people in Hong Kong don't drive a vehicle, so they walk and use public transportation. Families are also close-knit, usually living under the same roof, and care for elders is widespread. which may help prevent loneliness, depression, and other illnesses. Frequent walks are normal for Hong Kong and Macao residents. They also eat fish, tofu, chicken, and a wide variety of vegetables. They don't eat many processed foods, but they still have McDonald's and other fast food restaurants. One important key is portion sizes are far different. A medium-sized soda at McDonald's is 5 ounces smaller than a medium in the US. This change in portion sizes helps prevent unwanted weight gain and obesity. That could also explain their long life. Moderation is important for longevity. Japan is 5th on our list for people that lived longest in 2023. The average life expectancy is 87 for women and 81 for men. Their diet is high in rice, vegetables, fruit, fish, and meat. It's also low in fat and processed foods. Like South Koreans, the Japanese have smaller portion sizes than the US. Only about 4% of Japanese are obese, while in America it's 36%. They also have universal health care, which enables everyone access to quality care. That helps extend life as well. They spend about 11% of GDP on healthcare, while the US spends 17% on healthcare. This means they're either healthier and so don't spend much on healthcare, or their system is more efficient. Either way, access to good healthcare extends life. Involvement in community is common in Japan. Many get together for events, which can increase happiness and reduce loneliness. They also walk a lot, and using public transportation requires a fair amount of walking to get about. However, since the 1970s, there has been an issue with people working to death. This is known in Japan as karoshi. That is something that, when addressed, could extend life in Japan and in other countries that include long and stressful work hours. Last on our list is San Marino. This is a microstate in Italy. The average woman lives to 87, and for men it's 83. Only around 33,000 people live here, but they live extraordinarily long. People here enjoy pasta, pizza, and Mediterranean foods, but the portion sizes are much smaller, and their pizza is not like the kind you find in the US. The bread is very thin with sauce, but not much cheese or meat. Piadina is an Italian flatbread that's a common food in San Marino. Pork, ham, dairy, olive oil, beans, and fish are commonly eaten. Soups are popular as well, such as one that combines chickpeas with noodles, garlic, and rosemary. Another dish is baked pasta with ham, cheese, beef, and tomato sauce. San Marino is also fairly wealthy, with a GDP per capita of around $58,000. For reference, Canada's GDP per capita is about $51,000, and in the US it's around $71,000. The region is humid subtropical, and in some areas it's mountainous. Their economy is strong, and the quality of healthcare is great. Like many people who live long, Samarinese walk often. About half of them are religious and go to church weekly. Being active in a community is common among people who live long. That's the full list of the top 6 countries with the highest average life expectancy in 2023. Let's summarize what the longest living humans do to live long. Overall, they are omnivores. They eat vegetables, fruit, fish, and meat. Also, their portion sizes for meals are reasonable. They use moderation, so they may eat unhealthy sometimes, but it's healthy most of the time. They are also physically active. They tend to walk often and get to places. They are involved in their community. Whether it's church or living with family, they are close to those they love. They also have affordable health care. And their stress levels are relatively low. The last point is they all get enough sleep. Most people forget about the last point. Longevity experts sometimes ignore sleep when talking about longevity, but it's an important factor. If you don't sleep enough, stress is high and the brain doesn't function as well. We can learn a lot from these groups. For my own life, one of my relatives lived into his 90s. My granddad on my mom's side was a farmer and healthy compared to most elderly people in their 90s. He worked until he was 86 and lived until 92. He would eat lots of different vegetables every day. He grew some of his own foods, such as peppers, squash, okra, melons, tomatoes, and many other foods. Growing your own food is a good idea if you want to avoid pesticides, since some pesticides have been linked to cancer. So eating whole foods can do wonders for longevity and overall well-being. Do you have any relatives that live long or are still living a long life? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about people that live really long, since we could learn from them. That's it for this video. Subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. Thanks for watching.